this section, we will finalize our mixed reality scene and prepare it for the deployment to a mobile device. We will go through adjusting the game view and user interface for mobile, testing the application, and finally building it to a device. Let's begin by ensuring that our game looks good on a mobile device. Unity provides different resolutions to view the game scene. By default, it is set to free aspect, which allows the game view to resize freely. However, when targeting a specific device, it is important to use a resolution that matches your target device's screen aspect ratio. If you are planning to build a VR version of the app, you should select one of the landscape aspect ratios. You can also define your specific phone's ratio by selecting Add New Item, then choosing Aspect Ratio, and entering the dimensions of your phone screen. For example, if your phone's aspect ratio is 18:9, you can enter x equals 18 and y equals 9. You might want to name this preset Phone Landscape. Once set, you can visualize how the UI and game elements will appear on your phone. Now we will make some adjustments to the UI. Let's make the buttons slightly longer because they will fit better on a landscape display. Also, we can rename the texts. If you're aiming to display the scene in portrait mode, select a portrait resolution or define a new aspect ratio with x equals 9 and y equals 18. You might call this phone portrait. As you switch to portrait mode, you will notice that the buttons might become too small, like this. In this case, adjust their height and width to fit the screen better. You might also need to reposition them slightly and increase the font size to ensure that text is legible. A side note: if you decide not to use the VR mode, stick with one camera and delete the second one. Adjust the rear portrait of the first camera back to full width. Lastly, go to Project Settings, then Player, then Resolution and Presentation, and set the default orientation to Portrait if you are building for a non-VR portrait experience. After resolving the UI compatibility for both portrait and landscape modes, let's ensure that the AR functionality is set up correctly by defining a prefab for plane tracking. Open the XR origin in the hierarchy. Then search for AR feathered plane in the project panel. Drag this prefab into the plane prefab field in the XR origin inspector. This step is crucial for enabling plane detection in your AR app. Now that our scene is ready, it is time to build the app. Start by clicking on File, Build Settings, and first click Add Open Scenes to add the current scene to the build. You should also remove any unnecessary scenes, such as the sample scene, to streamline the build process. Lastly, if you haven't already selected Android or iOS, press Switch Platform at the bottom right. Since we have already done it in section 1, our project is on Android platform. Yours can be iOS if you have an iOS device. Before proceeding, connect your phone to the computer. Make sure that developer mode is enabled on your phone. If you are unsure how to activate developer mode, you can check your device's instructions. For most Android phones, you will need to go to the settings, About Device, Software Information, and tap on the build number several times. Once developer mode is activated, ensure USB debugging is enabled. With your phone connected and developer mode activated, press refresh in Unity's build settings window. Then select your device from the drop-down menu. Now press build and run. Create or select a folder for the build files. Unity will compile the app and install it directly on your device. If you encounter any errors during this process, you can build the app as an IPK or IPA file and manually transfer it on your phone via messaging apps or cloud storage services. After a short wait, your app will be installed on your device and ready for testing and deployment. This concludes our final section where we have adjusted the game view and UI for mobile devices, tested our application, and built it for deployment.